Okay, yeah, this is a poem. This is an older one. It was in well, it's easiest found in Shadow Ball, which is also from Pitt. It's a new and selected, but it was in a book called Reading the Water. Prayer for the man who mugged my father, 72. May there be an afterlife. May you meet him there, the same age as you. May the meeting take place in a small, locked room. May the bushes where you hid be there again, leaves tipped with razor blades and acid. May the rifle butt you bashed him with be in his hands. May the glass in his car window, which you smashed as he sat stopped at a red light, spike the rifle butt and the concrete on which you'll fall. May the needles the doctors use to close his eye stab your pupils every time you hit the wall and then the floor, which will be often. May my father let you cower for a while, whimpering, please don't shoot me, please. May he laugh, unload your gun, toss it away. Then may he take you with bare hands. May those hands which taught his son to throw a curve and drive a nail and hold a frog feel like cannonballs against your jaw. May his arms, which powered handstands and made their muscles jump to please me, wrap your head and grind your face like stone. May his chest, thick and hairy as a bear's, feel like a bear's, snapping your bones. May his feet, which showed me the flutter kick and carried me miles through the woods, feel like axes crushing your one claim to manhood as he chops you down. And when you are down, and he's done with you, which will be soon, since even one-eyed with brain damage, he's a merciful man. May the door to the room open and let him stride away to the Valhalla he deserves. May you, bleeding, broken, drag yourself upright. May you think the worst is over. You've survived and may still win. Then may the door open once more and let me in.
Mm, that's a great poem. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Charles. And that reminds me of my grandfather was mugged in the same way, about the same age, and it's one of the saddest things I can remember. I was only like maybe 10 or something, and just the huge black eye and the busted jaw, and like how could you hit an old man like that who's been through so much? Can you talk a little bit about that poem and what it means to you, since that's what Jim Valvis
Yeah,
was really
well,
asking?
sure. Well, unfortunately, that was pretty true. I mean, the incidents in there, uh, and this happened to my father when I was already living in L.A. I think I was already teaching at Cal State Long Beach, um, and I heard about it through my sister and my mom, and I felt obviously here I am in L.A. I mean, my first thought was I want to find that guy and I want to eviscerate him. Uh, and of course, I couldn't because, first of all, they couldn't find him even in Houston. The cops never found him. Uh, and, obviously, I couldn't do it. And I couldn't sleep that night for just raging and thinking about it. And I did something that I've told many of my clients to do when I was a psychotherapist, which when you're obsessing on something, just get up and write it down. So I wrote down what turned out to be the first draft of this poem. I did not expect it to be a poem. That was strictly therapy, strictly a way to go to sleep and to get some of it out of my head. And I kept the thing in a drawer for a while. And one day, several poets were over. I can't remember everybody. One of them was Laurel Ann Bogan, and we were talking about, I don't know, taboo poems or something like that. And I just thought, I've got this thing that I fooled around with, and I came in and read an early draft of that poem, and I wish I could remember who was there, but some of the people were kind of shocked by it, and sometimes people still are. They're put off by the violence. But I thought, I think I got something here, and I worked on it and I put it together, and it did get published, and it seems to be, if people are going to ask for a poem of mine, that's probably the one they ask for. Uh, it turned out to speak to a lot of people. And yeah, I have gotten, if you look on, my son thinks this is funny. If you look on the internet, you can find some people love the poem and some people really think that I'm kind of a monster for writing it. And, they say it's too violent.
Mm-hmm.
And my standard answer to that is no, it's not violent enough. It doesn't come close to being violent enough. It's just what you can do in words.
It's interesting that you say that people love and hate it, because that's something that's always been my experience just publishing poems, is that the poems that people love the most are also the poems that people have a reaction to where they sort of want to flee from it. And I always kind of feel like that's that it's the psychological power of something that's like too intense for some people. If a poem is really successful as a kind of magic spell that transforms you and takes you into a new place, I think some people react by saying like, I don't want to go to a new place. I don't want to be somebody else. I don't want to be that person who's smashing someone's head into the wall.
Right. And that's the unconscious there too. The unconscious, Freud said, that's where all the primitive drives are. That's where the id lives. And we are, anybody who doesn't want to admit it isn't looking around. We're inherently violent animals. Watch a chimpanzee, and thave got what Jane Goodall said. What they got 98% of our DNA or something. Watch them have a tantrum and shriek and tear stuff up. So when somebody that you love is assaulted and damn near killed, I mean, that's not the kind of thing I just sit by and say, oh well. I'll be, one of the things that I did with this poem is set it up in such a way. I knew that this would happen, that some people are going to wait for the transition where I forgive at the end. And I purposely said, no, that's not happening. There is no forgiveness for a crime like that.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. That's exactly what was going through my mind. Like, how is he going to turn this into a forgiveness? And then you don't, which is really the power of the poem, actually, is that that's really what makes it more than just gratuitous violence or revenge or something, is that you sort of come to terms with the fact that you don't forgive or something through the way the poem is structured. Yeah, that's why it works really well. Jay Perry asked a follow-up question. What did your father think of the poem? Did he read it?
He did not, because unfortunately, this gets worse. I mean, that injury that he received led, maybe 6 months later, before I'd showed the poem to anybody, it led him to have the first of several strokes that wiped him out. So, yeah, so he never saw it, he never heard it, he never did anything about it. But I know him; he would have loved it.
Yeah.